Hey Fight fans, I'm Sarah Davis and you're watching Fight News Now Extra. Keep it locked here as we tell you about the biggest stories coming out of the MMA world. And then John Ramdeen and Robin Black will give us their 2 cents. So let's get it started with the Newsmakers. After the Tough 16 finale on Saturday night, the UFC has announced the release of 12 of the 16 cast members from the 16th season. This drastic cut could be chalked up to this season having the worst ratings in Tough history and terrible performances from the fighters. BJ Penn is finally talking after he was dominated by Rory McDonald at UFC on Fox 5. Post-fight, Dana White called for the prodigy's retirement, but isn't pushing him out of the UFC. And Penn recently said that he's taking some time off before deciding on his next move. The odds are out on George St-Pierre and Nick Diaz, and it looks like GSP is more than a 4-1 favorite over the Stockton bad boy. The championship welterweight bout is scheduled to take place at UFC 158 on March 16th in Montreal. Those are the latest updates from the world of MMA. For more, let's take it over to our panel of John Ramdeen and Robin Black. Guys?
Thanks, Sarah. A lot of great fights to get to at the end of this year as well as in early 2013. The biggest fight we have to talk about is George St-Pierre. It looks like he will be taking on Nick Diaz in his hometown of Montreal, and GSP opens as a 4-1 favorite against the Stockton bad boy. Does this make sense?
Hey man, if you're a math guy, if you're a, just look at the facts and the stats guy, sure, maybe on paper George St-Pierre is that elite of an athlete, but you gotta play with intangibles in this fight, and nobody brings more intangibles to the table than a Diaz brother, because these guys, they throw all kinds of nonsense at you, they get you off their game, they talk to you in there, they play games, and that can be a great equalizer, because yes, George may be more skilled in a lot of these areas, but a Diaz comes to fight.
But fortunately for George St-Pierre, this isn't the first time he's had to deal with trash talkers. Number one, he's already had this experience with Nick Diaz when he didn't show up, as well as Josh Koscheck and Dan Hardy. So GSP, I think he knows how to deal with some of the troublemakers, and I think his primary focus will be trying to figure out the strategy. And he says that Ben Henderson kind of gave him the strategy on how to beat Nick Diaz, maybe attack that lead leg like Bendo did against Nick Diaz's younger brother, Nathan.
Well, I mean, hey man, I'm not going to tell a Diaz brother what they should do. Nobody should tell a Diaz brother what they should do, because that's trouble. But you know what? When you go back and you look at the Condit fight, he got his leg beaten just to crap. And that was not going to work going forward in a 5-round fight when you start to lose a limb. And then in Nathan Diaz's fight, he gets his legs beaten up. Now, I mean, again, it's not my place to tell a Diaz brother what to do, but you got to work on the leg kicks, guys. Jeez.
I think one of the best game plans for George St-Pierre is to kind of do what he did in that fight with Condit, because I imagine he's going to get the takedown and be on top of Nick Diaz, try to get the pass. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it is a very exciting matchup. Also, the previous month in February, a really A1 matchmaking from the UFC, a battle that not a whole lot of people are talking about right now. Maybe it's because it is so far away. The featherweight championship of the world on the line as Jose Aldo returns to take on Frankie Edgar. What an unbelievable fight this is.
Yeah, look, man, Uncle Dana's just chucking out Christmas presents like crazy, because these are great fights. These are marquee fights. And when you put that together with the Dos Santos versus Velasquez fight, I mean, these are 3 of the biggest fights of the last 5 years. I love the Edgar-Aldo fight. I just think it's a phenomenal matchup. It's very hard to imagine who's going to win and how. They both match up really well on the feet. Edgar is arguably maybe faster, maybe a slightly better boxing, whereas Aldo has brutal leg kicks and is really, really mobile. So it's just such a phenomenal fight. Such good fights coming up.
The odds have Jose Aldo just under a 2-1 favorite in this fight against Frankie Edgar, but a lot of people I talk to believe this is Frankie Edgar's fight to win, that he's going to use his movement, he's going to use his wrestling to force the Brazilian down, and that Jose Aldo just hasn't had a wrestler on top of him like Frankie Edgar. I don't know if that's the best game plan because Jose Aldo is just so unpredictable. We really haven't seen all the facets of his game, and I think that's what makes him a little more dangerous than a guy like George St-Pierre or Anderson Silva, in the sense that you know what you're going to get from those guys. we haven't really seen the full game from Jose Aldo, which is a scary thought.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, when you're saying that some people are picking Edgar, if you're forcing me to take a pick at this point, I'm going to go with Edgar because he will not be, for the first time in his career, he will not be outsized, and he still has the speed to deal with Aldo, and he brings that wrestling game. The one thing is that Aldo has never really been taken down very easily. He uses mobility as his counter wrestling. It's just a phenomenal matchup. It'll be one of the great fights ever.
And before the end of the year, we see the matchup for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Junior Dos Santos looking to take Cain Velasquez out again. Will he be able to do it? We knew Cain Velasquez suffered a knee injury, but Junior Dos Santos was also injured. Do we expect anything different in this fight?
Yeah, man, there's not enough love for Velasquez out there. Other than that one giant right hand behind the ear of Dos Santos, Velasquez has looked unbeatable. And all he has to do is sort of go back, reset, ignore that one punch, and he can be unbeatable again.
Will Cain Velasquez be able to get the takedown in this fight? We saw Junior Dos Santos against Shane Carwin, a big, strong guy. Carwin didn't have that type of success, but we know that Cain Velasquez may be a little more explosive than Shane Carwin.
Yeah, and Velasquez can win this fight on the feet as well. Velasquez is a monster on the feet, and he can win there as well.
Mixed martial arts looking good at the end of 2012 and looks promising for 2013, Sarah.
That's right. Thanks, guys. And don't forget, when you're busy running around doing your holiday shopping in the next few days, you can still stay up to date on all the latest combat sports news. Just use your smartphone to follow us on Twitter using our handle @FightNet. And we're always updating that with just little quick things that you can read while you're busy shopping. All right, there's more to come on Fight News Now Extra. And up next, we have a recap of the Tough 16 finale.